For the past 5 years, I've been a full-time content creator and I've had the opportunity to work with some of the biggest brands in the world. But this journey was not all sunshine and rainbows because along the way I made a bunch of mistakes and wasted a lot of time testing things out. So in this video, we're gonna rewind time and cover the exact blueprint I'd follow if I was starting from ground zero as a content creator. And before we jump into my 5-step framework, we need to first cover camera gear. Because when I first thought about creating content, I made a massive mistake of procrastinating for about 3 months because I felt that I could not start practicing until I bought a proper camera. When in reality, I could have started learning the creative aspects of photography and filmmaking by just using my smartphone. So basically, I ended up spending 3 months researching and looking for the best starter camera, when in reality, the best starter camera was already in my pocket. And looking back, I would have spent that first 3 months practicing with my smartphone and learning the more creative aspects of content creation. And this is a common mistake I see a lot of my students make when they first start out, because they believe they need a camera, but at the same time they're not ready to invest a substantial amount of money, so they decide to spend a couple of $100s on a beginner camera, when in reality the quality these cheaper cameras produce are actually not that good. And a harsh truth I recommend to my students is to actually save their money and not to buy a camera until they have at least $1,000 to spend. And I recommend $1,000 because this is the area where you can start picking up a quality camera and lens that will actually improve your shots. And since you would have practiced the creative aspects of photography with your smartphone, all you'll need to learn is the technical side of using a camera, and then you're off to the races. But now with that gear disclaimer out of the way, let's jump into the 5-step framework that I'd personally follow if I was starting my content creation career from zero. And step number 1 is a no-brainer, but you need to develop your skills. Because it won't matter how great your network is or how great of a marketer you are. If your content isn't good, then you will not be successful. And I'm not saying you have to be the best photographer or filmmaker in your local area, but your skills have to be at a level where you can market your work. So basically, at a level where if a normal person saw your content, they will actually think you're good. And the main skills that I believe will instantly improve your shots is composition, lighting, and editing. And lucky for you, there has never been more resources out there that can help you develop these core skills faster than ever. So you have things like YouTube, Facebook groups, course platforms like Skillshare or Udemy, or even custom-made courses from some of your favorite creators. Seriously, the options are endless and it really comes down to your budget and your time investment. So for example, if you don't have any money to invest into your education, then your best bet will be a free resource like YouTube, but doing it this way will take the longest time because the information is scattered everywhere. But if you have some extra money to invest in yourself, then I would highly recommend buying a course from a creator that you like so that you can learn their processes and secrets in one nicely packaged area so that you can learn even faster. And a shameless plug, but your boy Takumi has a bunch of courses on offer that will help fast track your success, and I've left links to all of them in the description below. But now, a pro tip to keep in mind when you first start creating content is to not niche down. And I know this probably goes against everything you've heard before, but in reality, when you're just starting out, I recommend shooting everything and seeing what you naturally gravitate to. Because the main goal when developing your skills is to be fearless and to not box yourself into a specific niche at the start. And I recommend doing it this way because over time, your niche will naturally develop and you'll quickly find out what you do and don't like creating. But now, once you've developed your skills to a point where you can market them, you're going to move on to step number 2, and that is building your infrastructure. And this is where you're going to build a website to host your portfolio, and you're going to start focusing on building a presence online via social media. And firstly, for your website, I recommend using either Squarespace or Wix because these two platforms make it super easy to get set up with their professional looking templates, and they require no coding. For your social media, I'd focus on growing a presence on both Instagram and TikTok first, and then branching out to places like YouTube or Twitter later. And the 3 things I'd focus on when growing your audience online is firstly posting short form vertical videos because these are currently the best way to get your work in front of new people. Secondly is posting high quality carousels showcasing your photos and videos because these carousel style posts are great for nurturing your audience and they perform better than just a single photo or video post. And then thirdly, which is probably the most important, and that is consistency. Because you need to understand that social media is a numbers game, and the only way to grow an audience that is not only following you, but are also raving fans is by providing value on a consistent basis. And if you want to learn how I gained over 140,000 followers on Instagram in just 30 days by applying my 5-step framework to become a consistent creator, then you can watch the video linked above. But now moving on to step number 3, and that is building your portfolio. And this is where you're going to make a conscious effort to start building a portfolio that you're then going to pitch to potential clients. And a strategy I teach my students is the following. So firstly, find a product in your house and go out and create some content with it. And when doing this, try to avoid products from big established brands, because the larger the brand is, the more leverage you'll need as a creator. But now, once you've created some content, you're then going to send the brand a pitch email alongside the content you've already created. And you can grab their email by going onto their Instagram and opening up the contact tab. And the goal with your pitch email is to get some free products from the brand in exchange for some more content. And if you want a copy of the exact email template I was using when I was a small creator, then I've left a link in the description below this video. But now step number 3 is to create more content with the free products that you receive and to continue developing the relationship with this brand. And basically you're going to repeat this process with another 3 to 5 brands so that you can create a media kit showcasing all the brand work you've done. And this will help you a lot for your future outreaches, because when a brand or company sees that you have experience creating content with different brands, it's going to make it a lot easier to close them. And an example of this strategy being used was with the brand AlphaGuard. So I was a big fan of their company and I wanted to team up with them to become an affiliate for their products and provide a discount to my course students. So I actually bought some of their camera skins and then I went out in my own time to take photos of their products. Once I shot and edited the photos, I sent them an email pitching them with the photos from my shoot attached. And as we can see in their reply, I provided great value to the brand by sharing photos of their products, and I was able to join their affiliate team and offer an exclusive discount on all future purchases to my students. On top of that, they shared the photos onto their Instagram of over 140,000 followers, and the post received just under 8,000 likes, and I was able to gain around 100 new followers. But now step number 4 is crafting your offer. And this step consists of everything from getting clear about what you're offering, what your pricing is, and what is the benefit of hiring you over another creator. So firstly, when it comes to your offer, this is where having a clear niche comes into play. Because look at it like this, if a restaurant is looking to get photos shot of their new menu and they come across 2 different photographers, where one has branded themselves as a food photographer and their portfolio and website is all based around food photography, whereas the other photographer has a mixed portfolio with a bunch of portraits, product photos, and some food photos on the side, which photographer do you think the restaurant is more likely to hire? Probably the food photographer, right? And it's because the niche down photographer is seen more as an expert, whereas the other photographer looks like a jack of all trades. So hopefully by this point, you'll have a better understanding of what type of content you like to create so that you can build your portfolio around that. With that being said though, if you're still unsure about what your niche is, then you probably need to continue experimenting with different styles of content, or you need to decide on a certain niche that you believe you can make some money in. And on the topic of money, when it comes to pricing your work, I highly recommend charging on a per job basis instead of an hourly rate. And when charging on a per job basis, you need to charge your clients for everything to do with the job. So that means we have to charge them for our work, our time, our transportation to get to and from the shoot, the equipment and softwares we'll be using to get the job done, and our overall skill level and the value we're providing. And this is super important to realize because as we all know, the gear and tools we use to produce our work is not only cheap, but are also premium tools that aren't available to everyone. So we need to treat them like that. With all that being said though, you do have to be honest with yourself and be real when calculating your prices. Because if your work is not worth the amount you're charging, it's going to be very difficult to land brand clients. And just for some context, the first job I ever got paid for was for a friend of mine wanting photos for her Instagram, and we were shooting for about 4 hours and I edited about 30 photos, and in the end I only got paid 150 Australian dollars. So to be honest, it wasn't that glamorous, but it was a great feeling to actually make some money doing something I loved, and personally it didn't feel like work at all. And at the time I'd been shooting for about 4 months, so I was still very new to photography, and I was more interested in gaining the experience rather than the money. But now moving on to step number 5, and that is scaling. And this step consists of things like skill stacking, monetizing, and networking. So firstly, skill stacking is when you learn and develop new skills that stack on top of your current skills so that you can offer more services to your clients and so that you can essentially become irreplaceable. And an example of this is one of my students, Corey, who originally signed up for my 21-day photographer program. So within the program, he developed all the skills required to capture high quality photos. And after completing the program, he went ahead and started learning filmmaking. And since he was posting content consistently on social media, he started learning how the Instagram algorithm worked. So in just a 6-month period, he was able to stack 3 profitable skills that he could now offer to his clients. And he went from only being a photographer to now a photographer, filmmaker, and social media manager. And within just a year of starting his content creation journey, he's now a full-time content creator. And another benefit to stacking your skills is that since you're able to provide more unique services to your clients, you're able to raise your prices for your work. And for those of you who are wondering, the current skills I'm stacking are copywriting, laser beam focus, marketing and sales, camera confidence, and content creation. But now for the monetizing part of this scaling process, there are many different ways to do it, but as a beginner content creator, I highly recommend starting and growing your email list. Because some of the benefits of having an email list is you'll have direct contact with your audience, you don't have to rely on the algorithm for your content to be seen, and they are great for nurturing and remarketing. And when it comes to actually setting this up, there are so many different email marketing softwares out there, but some of my top recommendations are ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, or Beehive. And by having a large and active email list, you'll be able to effectively promote any products or services that you decide to launch in the future. But now for the network side of things, this is super important because at the end of the day, your network is your net worth. And there are so many different ways to go about this, and this topic alone could be a whole video on its own. But basically, the key thing you want to focus on when networking is to lead with value. And this value can be seen in many different ways. It could be a compliment, it could be offering something for free, or it could be giving advice to someone. So for example, going back to the strategy I covered when reaching out to brands. The reason I believe this strategy has worked so well in the past for my students and myself is because you're leading the conversation with value by providing them with free content of their products instead of just sending a cold email asking them to send you free products. So by leading with value when you're networking, there is always a higher chance that it will result in better relationships. And when networking, don't focus on just brands and clients, because by networking with other creators, you'll also be able to learn from each other and then grow together. And some of the best places to start networking with other creators are on social media, Facebook groups, or creator meetups in your local area. But there we have it. That is a full wrap up on what I'd do if I just started my content creation journey. And I'm confident if you start applying some of the techniques we covered in this video, then you'll also be able to supercharge your growth as a content creator. And if you want to learn how I gained over 100,000 new followers on Instagram in just 30 days, then check out this video here and I'll see you there.